Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tiny Blue Games. My name is, of course, Seesaw or Chris. With me, I've got Ryan and Brandon, and today we're going to be talking about Guild Wars 2, but in particular, we're going to be talking about one of the most controversial and kind of failure-ish points of Heart of Thorns, which was their new type of PvP, Stronghold. This video is talking about, if there should be more types of PvP, if Stronghold was a success, or why it was not, and what we think they should do. So the first question we'll tackle, was Stronghold a success, and why was it not a success if it wasn't? Anyone want to start us off?
Well, because sure, player-wise and implementation, sure, it's considered a failure, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people that wants to discourage efforts to introduce something other than
Conquest.
Dominion.
Conquest.
Yeah, Conquest.
Yeah.
So yes, implementation-wise, there was lots of failures, but I was happy to see them attempting to do something other than Conquest, because although Conquest is one of the most fun and entertaining styles of PvP, I would love to see Guild Wars 2 a real capture the flag. I'd love to see more efforts towards maybe introducing siege weapons into PvP that aren't just trebuchets. I'd love to see, and sure, then there's questions of, does that destroy the ranked system? But I want to see them try to do something other than Conquest.
All right. What about you?
I don't know. I really liked that map. The only reason I stopped really playing is because they took it out of ranked.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought it did a lot for the game. It changed the style of map, which is great because now we have different strategies in PvP. It's not just go fight on this base and try and beat the others. Because really, after a while, the base ones just feel like really hot spots for combat that people meet at, and it's just, I don't know. It gets boring after a while. It's nice to have a different map to play.
Yeah.
Even though they have different maps with the bases, it's still the same thing. It gives you different strategies to try out. Do you rush? Do you try and go for a strong defense? Do you try and maybe you send a thief or two over to their side and you try and assassinate their ads while your other team pushes up? I thought it was great. It gave new strategy to the game, a different type of play style. Not only that, it added new PvP reward tracks because now you can earn their champions. You can earn different skins for them.
The champions was an interesting idea.
I thought that was great. The champions didn't really feel like they were... the balance on them was poor or anything.
No.
If anything, I think they could actually have been a bit stronger. Because sometimes I felt like, who cares about the sides? Let's just get these door breakers, which are strong as fuck for doors. Up there.
Yeah, they could almost do champions that are based on They could have almost went deeper into it with the champions, where maybe you have a guy that defends, he sits at the door and stops people from getting through it. Yeah. It could be a large ogre or something with a club that knocks people away and does high damage.
An assassin would have been cool that doesn't even follow the track of going up there. It actually just goes to the nearest enemy player and tries killing them.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
They could have made it more.
So it just goes around distracting their players, right?
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
The only thing I noticed in terms of internal balance is the archers were terrible. There's no fucking reason to buy an archer in that map.
Oh,
really.
The archer, yeah.
Oh, they're terrible.
The archers weren't
they
good.
actually, because they were the ones that did damage to players versus doors.
Yeah,
but even then, they didn't nearly do enough damage.
And sure,
the
door breakers...
It was so minor that it didn't...
Yeah. And the door breakers, sure, they don't do damage against the boss, but it doesn't matter, because even if you were to buy 10 archers, which is the max if all 5 players get 2 supply and spend them, 10 archers realistically isn't going to do shit against the boss anyway.
What would have been more interesting is if the archers were set up at your defense and could shoot,
that'd be really cool.
shoot at the door breakers.
That'd be really
if
cool.
If they added more options where you have a defense and an attack type of troops.
I never thought of that. Yeah.
And it would give you more reason to get resources, right?
Maybe you could spend resources reinforcing the door.
Yeah.
Or setting a trap.
Resources a bigger part. When you get a kill, you get 2 resources, but maybe they up the resource stack to 5, but you can only buy so much of something at a time.
Yeah.
So maybe you get 5 or 6 resources as a max stack, but you can only buy 2 door breakers out of that, and then
Yeah.
you have a cooldown of like a minute or something before you can go buy more.
Yeah.
And then maybe instead you could buy like spike traps that are gonna cripple people coming
Traps
into your
would be
base.
cool.
Maybe you reinforce the door, which adds like a bit of health or heals it.
Yeah.
Another cool, like a cool upgrade you could have is buying a additional place in the map where you can spend your resources instead of having to always walk all the way back. Because that was a big problem. Is if you kill people at their base and got some supplies, I rarely would go all the way back to go and spend
You'd have to
it.
wait till you
Yeah. So like if you could upgrade for like 5 or 10 supplies a like supply spending point like halfway up the map somewhere or something like that. That would be pretty cool.
Maybe they add like a conquer point where like at the start of the game there's like a midsection midway to their gate where it's something to fight over, but once it's claimed by
it's like a new store area.
It's like a new store or something, or like a new place where you can buy and add troops in.
Yeah.
Like a new like checkpoint.
All right. Yeah. So we like the idea of
new maps.
Yeah, we like the and of stores actually, like the idea of spending current, because that was the biggest change in this map is that you got a currency that you could spend, and that was the most MOBA-ish aspect of it, right? That you could
it kind of gave you
stuff.
2 lanes, and it gave you could spend.
Yeah. What I guess the follow up question is, what other types of maps would we like to see? And we'll just keep this fairly quick.
I think it'd be cool to have one where they have a base. And there's 2 rounds to it. So one side defends, one side attacks at first, and maybe you add a currency to that again. Or maybe you do something where you can upgrade and do like you add in different parts. If you've ever played the game Smite or you've seen Smite be played, there's that one map called I think it's like Siege or something where once you get to a certain amount of points, and you get points by killing their minions, killing enemy players, it gives you like a big boss kind of a guy that moves up one of the lanes to try and siege their base. I think that'd be cool, and like maybe the defenders get something like upgraded cannons for a short period of time. They're going to shoot down people by their doors. Something like that where you kind of take turns invading and defending. Or a capture the flag would be really cool. Yeah. I know they kind of have a capture the flag aspect with the Spirit Watch. Yeah. But it's more. It almost feels like more of King of the Hill.
It still does, because the issue is that it still has conquest points, and those are arguably still stronger. Yeah. They made some changes to it, which I do approve of, where they made the flag worth a lot more when you cap it. I think it's worth like 50 now or something like that, which is pretty good.
Instead of 25.
Instead of 20. And they also made it so that whoever's carrying the flag is transformed, so it's completely even for who has it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a bunker.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's someone who can like cross the map in like 2 seconds or something like that, which I think is great. I think what would make it really, really good is if they want to keep the conquest points in, which I think is okay, because I like the idea of being able to turn in the flag to any of those. I think that's pretty unique to the game. Is if the flag was worth a lot more, or the conquest points were worth a lot less. Like, almost if the conquest points just gave you like, were just a place to cap the flag or something like that. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be very cool. So you still get that sense of battle lines and whose territories whose. And sneaking behind them to cap something.
Well, yeah, what's cool is like kind of like in WoW where they had I think it was Warson Gulch where it was capture the flag.
Yeah.
You could either enter their base with a large force and try and fight them off. You could send in a thief to try and steal it and then drop it for like somebody else who was quicker to take it.
Yeah.
Like I think it introduces new strategies to the game as well. Because in Guild Wars 2 you can stealth your party.
Yeah, which is
so
very
you can
cool.
all of a sudden end up with 3 or 4 people in their base hitting the flag and going out.
Well, they need to capture the flag, I think, also where there's 2 flags, one on each person's side. Because I think that's really cool, because then you have to defend as well as attack.
No, that's what I think it would be, is it wouldn't be like an attack, and it'd be a defend. And then maybe, instead of having it like Warson Gulch where the flag spawns back at their base, you gain points based on having the flag. So maybe you bring their flag to your base and you put it in, and once you have, say you have 2 flags in your base, your points, it's like you charge up something, like your points go up. But then once they remove the flag from your base and take it off the marker, you stop gaining points and you freeze there. So instead of, or it could be like Warson Gulch where it's like first 1 to 3 captures or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another thing that was cool about WildStar was if you had their flag and they had your flag, you couldn't cap it.
That was the same in WoW had that too.
Did they have that?
In Warson Gulch,
Yeah, and I think that is a cool idea.
I like that, because then it's not just who can sprint to their base and back quicker.
What was really good actually about World of Warcraft's version of that was that the longer the flags were out, there was a stacking debuff on the person who held it, so it became really easy to assassinate them.
Yeah.
And you'd go and hide somewhere with your like healer or something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
get a bunch of people on the very top level, just
you kind of send in like little
shaping.
like assassin or like hit squads that would go and try to get them before.
Yeah,
they
like
got you.
maybe after a while, like the flag starts to stack. Like maybe after holding the flag for 30 seconds, it stacks vulnerability. And then once you hit 25 stacks of vulnerability, maybe it stacks poison
like
or something.
confusion or torment, so you have to stand in the same place or something like that.
Or like a poison or like a cripple, because then you're weaker, you can't move away as quick, and then you're not gonna be. They can't heal you as easily.
Overall, I'd love to see more exploration into the idea of actually killing a boss to win the PvP game, because we're talking a lot about World of Warcraft PvP, but they had a lot of diversity in World of Warcraft PvP. But my favorite PvP experience I've ever had through all the games we've played, Rift, fucking WildStar, Gw2, everything, my favorite battleground, arena, whatever it may be, was Isle of Conquest in World of Warcraft, where, and perhaps this would be a good topic for another video of potential PvP maps with more than just 5 people. Whether that'd be a good thing or bad thing. Because this was 40 people. You could capture docks, you could capture an airbase, you could capture a factory, you could jump into their base before it's actually downed and sabotage it from the inside. I loved that PvP style map. Yeah. And although 40 versus 40 would be crazy in Guild Wars 2, and a map like that would be incredibly hard to do with only 5 people trying to capture things like siege factories and
maybe
air
up
bases.
to like 10 or something.
Yeah, and that's a topic for a different
for
video.
sure. But I love the idea of killing a lord to end the game. I do think they need to explore that more. So in closing, I guess for me personally, Stronghold, very good idea. I want them to run with that idea. Sure, there were some shortcomings, but tons of potential for that style, I think.
I think they need to explore and just get like different game modes and different types that introduce new strategies to the game.
And I think they're on the right track because they have this new sort of beta version that they do of maps. And they can definitely try very different ones in beta. And if it doesn't work, just scrap it for a while and put it back into beta when it's like new.
Yeah.
And then introduce it to rank once it's passed through that point. So I think they have the system in place now where they could try crazier things.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see, because we haven't heard any kind of PvP news about the expansion. Not that we should have heard any kind of news about the expansion yet. So it'll be interesting to see if there is actually, I mean, I assume there's some sort of PvP thing coming. Unless they're going to be like, hey guys, we're really good at PvE, but I don't think they're going to do that. No game that's marketed itself as all 3 types of gameplay has ever switched from PvP, so I think it's going to stay if it's still...
that would be bad for the game.
It would be bad, because a lot of people do like PvP a lot.
World versus World would be
if
another
it didn't
video.
That's another topic.
Because that, I'm sure, will get some love in an expansion. At the very least,
You'd
in
hope.
Borderland, I'm sure. Like
even
the desert
like a new map for
Borderland.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
They need gliding in World vs. World, but we're going to get to that.
That would be so
and a whole different... That's another video. So I think this covers what we wanted to talk about. If you guys have any ideas of battlegrounds you'd like to see, or why you think Stronghold was such... Not as like a failure, but didn't do as strong as they'd hoped. Like it moved from ranked to not ranked, which is a sign of failure. There's no way you can argue that. That is a sign that it did not play out the way they
absolutely
progression.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you have any thoughts on that, do share it. And any future topics that you want to hear us talk about. But until then, thanks for watching. I'm Chris.
Ryan.
And Brandon.
We'll see you in the next video.
See you guys.
All right, see you guys.